Oh, thank God you're awake. Look, we're stuck in this room and I think we've only got 60 seconds left before this skit ends. Quick, help me look for a way out. Oh man, this isn't working. Hey, look at this. I think this dial might be some sort of puzzle lock. I think I found something. There seems to be some sort of play button on here. I love fully cooperative board games because they often immerse players in a situation where they have to draw on their expertise and their problem-solving skills in order to collectively overcome a common threat. Working as a team and thinking collaboratively are some of the experiences that I really enjoy when I play a cooperative board game. In this video, we look at 6 of my favorite next level fully cooperative board games which will have you making peace, not war. Quirky Circuits. Quirky Circuits is a programming game where players work cohesively together to program the actions for a series of really cute robots, including a cat riding Roomba and a gardening bee called Twirl. Players will be plowing through some really creative scenarios featured in the scenario book by collectively playing command cards from their robot to complete their objective. Now, where should I plug this game in? At the beginning of a new game, players will select a scenario from this comprehensive menu of games featuring a range of graded difficulty levels. Players will examine the objective for the scenario and then silently play command cards from their hand face down in no particular turn order. After players have played at least 5 cards with each player contributing at least 1 card, the series of command actions are then revealed and resolved. Like a yo-yo unwinding itself, players watch to see if their program gets executed successfully as they intended. This success rides on the idea that all players are thinking alike. Throughout the game, the gizmo has you cleaning dust bunnies whilst avoiding nasty collisions with furniture, whilst Twirl builds momentum as she picks up fruit, and Lefty uses his 2 different lengthed arms to complete recipes for some very hungry cats. Quirky Circuits sits high on my recommendation list. It is a game that is played in silence, so it is a really good game to get some of the loud people in your household together and quiet them down, especially the ones that you love. The beauty of this little circuit of a board game centers around how players think. Players need to be thinking along the same wavelength. There is a sense of deduction in the action cards that are played face down because players will know the type of action that's played but not what the specific action might be. Players will also be constrained by the type of actions that they have in their hand, so they'll need to try and work together to try and pull the right combination of action cards in order to execute the perfect action for their robot. This game really draws on your forward planning and strategic thinking skills, and it is an excellent game that scales well from 2 to 4 players. Go forward. Forward again. Now rotate 90 degrees. Do you think you could get me a cup of tea? Oh, and don't forget the chips and dips too. The Big Book of Madness. Like a forbidden anime mashup of Harry Potter and Avatar The Last Airbender, the Big Book of Madness has players taking the role of teenage magicians who master the 4 elements of fire, earth, air and water in order to cast spells to vanquish monsters that have escaped the Big Book of Madness from the school library. Say, Harry Potter? The Book of Madness is primarily a deck-building game where players will use their elemental deck to cast spells in order to remove curse cards that appear on the game board as a result of a monster appearing from the grimoire. Players will essentially begin the game by selecting a trendy, very trendy, character, each of which have a special ability, by gathering their 4 basic spells and building a basic elemental deck as shown at the bottom of their character card. The elemental cards act as the currency that players will use from turn to turn in the game. Elemental cards can be used to learn new spells, purchase high-value element cards, destroy curse cards, and also be used to remove madness cards that appear in a player's hand. Players will need to be cautious as though throughout the game because players will continuously be acquiring madness cards into their elemental deck which will fill up their hands from turn to turn, thus preventing players from casting those important spells. Players will have to manage these madness cards if they want to survive. Upgrading spells is like upgrading a regular garden stick into the Dark Lord's wand. Each elemental spell has a different theme where their synergy can help you or your team to gain an advantage in terms of your deck-scaping possibilities. If players can work as a team and get to the end of the grimoire and destroy the last monster in the book, they win. The Big Book of Madness is pure Harry Potter-esque style escapism. The game evokes a great sense of deck building, spell casting, and spell upgrading. The game has players managing and sharing resources in a support pool, as well as working together as a team to combine the decks that they've created to try and build an engine in a cohesive way to try and combat those curses and negative effects the Big Book of Madness throws at them. The mechanism for managing madness in the deck is quite interesting, as it has players multitasking between upgrading and managing the spells, as well as battling those inner demons. Board Gamers Maxima! What I really like about fully cooperative board games is that I can still be friends and play with people who are ultra competitive gamers, whilst having the assurance that each game won't end with someone flipping the table. What? There are 3 outbreaks in a row? I'm out of here. Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Desert is a fully cooperative game that has players scouring the desert sand for 4 machine parts using this lunchbox-sized tin. So, what have you got for lunch today? My mum packed me an orange and an apple for lunch. Well, mine packed me a tin full of sand. If players can excavate enough sand, resist the force of the powerful sandstorm, to locate each machine part and return it to the launch pad successfully, they'll be able to escape and win the game. When players find themselves stranded in the desert for the first time, no one would have ever thought that they would have been stuck in a 5x5 grid. In Forbidden Desert, players take it in turns to move around the desert, remove sand, excavate tiles by flipping them over, or picking up a machine part that has been uncovered by 2 intersecting location tile clues. Players will also be managing other threats like their dehydration and battling sandstorms, so they'll need to locate a source of water, share the water around, and avoid shriveling up like a dried raisin. To battle the hot sun, players will need to take shelter in underground tunnels. At the end of each turn, the storm rages according to this arbitrary storm level, shifting this horrible empty gap across the board, also known as the Eye of the Sandstorm. This sandstorm moves around the board like a ninja, throwing ninja star-shaped sand all across the grid. Have no fear, however, because excavating can reveal very important items that can help players. Items like a Doom Blaster, Terrascope, Solar Shield, and a Jetpack. Each character has a Let's Not Die Out Here ability that they can use to help the group survive. Forbidden Desert is a fantastic co-op game which constantly has players feel like they're drowning in quicksand. Managing the different threats that appear, as well as navigating the geography of the grid, means that each player has a critical part of the problem-solving process. This is a tough game with tough choices. Each time the players find a machine part, there's a huge sense of accomplishment of what they've achieved. The gameplay always feels tense, and this is a perfect game for families. Exit the game series. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be trapped inside a board game box, like a minifigure encased in its own plastic prison? Well, let me introduce you to the perfectly sized board game that will reinforce all those feelings of claustrophobia for you. The Exit game series is a range of single-player escape room games that are centered around a particular theme, whether it be the Pharaoh's Tomb, the Secret Lab, or the Sinister Mansion. The aim of the game is for players to solve all of the puzzles locked inside these boxes before time runs out. Without spoiling too much of the contents of the Exit game series, there is a common thread that ties them all together. Each box contains a decoder wheel, a deck of riddle cards, answer cards, and help cards. Some of the Exit games will contain a series of strange items that make more sense as you attempt to solve the puzzles within. Throughout the game, players will be looking through this activity book of puzzles to look for an illustration of a red card in order to obtain the first riddle. Following that, players will have to tap into their ingenuity, perception, and puzzle-solving skills to complete each puzzle. If players are stuck, each puzzle is clearly marked by a shape, which directs players to these help cards. Using a help card will penalize you at the end of the game. If players can solve all of the puzzles and complete the final riddle in time, they win. The escape room game series, I love the Exit games the most because they feature a huge range of well-designed and innovative puzzles that sometimes have that huge wow out there moment. There's a huge sense of accomplishment when players collectively solve a very difficult puzzle. Unfortunately, the theme of each game isn't always particularly strong across each title, but the puzzles themselves make for an interesting and enjoyable experience with a family or a loved one. Now, how to escape this game review? Letter Jam. Letter Jam is a cooperative word game for up to 6 players where players work together to give each other clues to help everyone guess the letters in their own word. The catch here is that players can only see everybody else's letters, but they can't see their own. So they're going to have to rely on the creativity of the group's word clues in order to ensure that everyone in the group guesses their word before the clue tokens run out. At the beginning of each game, each player will receive a jumbled up 5-letter word that is placed face down in front of them. From round to round, players will offer up a clue to the group by spelling a word using only the letters that they can see from their point of view. For example, if the clue given is remember, this player would see it as blank, E-M-E-M-B-E blank, whereas this other player would see it as R-E blank E blank B-E-R. Players who give clues will need to be extremely creative with their chosen word, as longer words that feature a more unique range of letters will most likely include more members of the group, as well as help everyone get closer to finding out what their words are. Once players think they've figured out all 5 of their own letters, they can then unscramble them to make a 5-letter word. If all players do this successfully, everyone wins the game. Letter Jam has become one of my all-time favourite word games, the other being Decrypto. I absolutely love how Letter Jam truly engages all players at all times. It has them observing, it has them going through their vocabulary and looking at their word knowledge to try and generate some helpful and interesting clues that will help all players at the table progress to their ultimate end goal. And when a good clue is given, it often leads to some memorable laugh-out-loud moments. Letter Jam is like filling in a social crossword puzzle where all of your friends and family are giving you the answers. The crosstalk and collective deduction elements in the game makes Letter Jam, in my words, an instant classic. Hey, you guys are the best. I just want to say thanks for having me over tonight. Oh, no problems, bro. So I guess I'll be putting your name down for next week's Monopoly game night? Stuffed Fables. Stuffed Fables is a cooperative game where players take on the role of stuffed animal toys entrusted with the task of protecting their owner from the minions and monsters that lie under their bed. Players will embark on 7 campaigns that are featured in this bedtime story-style adventure book. Each page of this book has a continuing narrative and game map that also presents players with interesting decisions that they'll have to make that influence their success and travel throughout each campaign. If players can successfully navigate the game's interwoven story plots and develop a good story arc, then players will complete their mission and win the game. Imagine a dark, nightmarish version of Toy Story, one where a group of semi-neglected toys come to life after you fall asleep. This ain't no Chucky, but it's one that features a cast of very endearing fabric-based characters woven seamlessly into its own story plot. At the beginning of each game of Stuffed Fables, players will read from the current story and savour its flavoursome narrative. Throughout the story, the adventure book will be directing players to gather items, set up maps, make choices, and complete a series of page objectives. On a turn, players will be drawing coloured dice from a bag which allows players to move, find stuffing, search for items and equipment, and encourage the other players by giving them some of your dice. The dice are divided into different colours representing a particular attribute that a character may use when performing a skill test or group task. For example, yellow dice are for searching, red dice are for melee attacks, and green dice are used for ranged attacks. If there are enough black dice at the end of a player's turn, players will also be battling a range of decrepit minions that look like they've fallen off the back of an abandoned Pixar short film. I mean, just look at these poor cotton souls. You've got characters named Crawley, Mongrel, and Dark Heart. Throughout the game, the minions will surge and attack the players. If the players defeat a minion, they can earn the game's currency, buttons or hearts, which players can use to spend on their own special character abilities. What I absolutely adore about Stuffed Fables is that it has a very strong narrative and theme that emanates throughout each game. Here's a beautiful blend of role-playing like game mechanics that will appeal to lots of different family gamers. There's a really cool sense of exploration and adventure. The dice in this game influences the actions and strategy that players are going to be using, so players will need to acquire the right combination of resources and manage the different colours of dice in their dice pool and utilise them at the right moment to really savour and take advantage of the gameplay moments that this game has to offer. There is one little caveat. This game is slightly text and rule heavy, so beware before you play it. Oh, man. I'm stuffed. Thank you for cooperating and making it to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed the 6 cooperative games that you could introduce to your family that can take your gaming experience to the next level. If you really like this video, please continue cooperating and like, subscribe and share this video with your family and friends. I would truly appreciate it. I want to say a huge thank you to all the people currently supporting me and subscribe to this channel. I want to send you lots of love. I look forward to bringing you some high quality videos in the near future. And remember, continue gaming everybody, stay safe, see you later. This is Danny signing out, goodbye.